All right.
Hi,
so Tommy.
Hey. How's it going?
Yeah, we are good to go.
Nice.
Welcome, everyone. It's something movie podcast episode, whatever.
This one's coming out soonish, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out this Wednesday because it's a very special episode where we're going to be talking about the recent DC Fandome event that just kicked off last week or last Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday sounds right.
Sure. So this is also our first podcast that we're filming remotely.
Yeah, no more She Shed. It had a good run, but maybe again it'll come back.
Right. But on the bright side, we can still hear each other thanks to the magic of technology. It's a little hard to get used to this, honestly, Tommy. Not gonna lie.
And I know what you mean. There's so many, like, I have my phone, the microphone, and the laptop. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. I feel like it'll be fine. And I know that the audio quality is going to be a lot better than some of our other episodes.
Yeah, and if it's not, that's going to be my fault because it's going to be me and mixing it. That's going to be the problem, and not. Okay. I can't blame it on anything else.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of go through DC Fandome as I kind of went through it. I watched it, the whole thing, from 2:00 to about 8:30 at night, and so we're gonna go through just the whole event pretty much in order, giving some quick thoughts on everything. And
so you sent me a bunch of clips from it because I didn't get to watch it. I was too busy being cool, so I didn't watch it. But you sent me a bunch of clips, and were those like in order? The ones that you sent me?
Just about, but it doesn't really matter because you're gonna know the things I'm talking about.
Cool.
And then if we have time at the end, we're gonna talk about a DC movie, and if not, we'll save it for another episode.
Yeah. So let's kick it off. Do you want to start? Hello.
Hey, Tommy.
All right. So that's 30 seconds. I don't think I know.
We made it pretty far.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get back.
We definitely did not just cut out there. Right.
No. It's smooth sailing.
All right. So the first event that happened, I forget what time, but the Wonder Woman 1984 panel. Gal Gadot was there. Patty Jenkins was there. Chris Pine, and Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig, who are both the villains of this next upcoming movie. And I mean, they didn't really say much during the panel. It was pretty much just a lot of like fluff.
They were just like there just to, talk.
Yeah, but then they gave us our second look at Wonder Woman 1984. So you haven't seen the first Wonder Woman.
No, I haven't.
So what did you think of like the look of this movie?
It looked cool. It was very colorful, very a lot of action. I think Gal Gadot is probably the most beautiful person on the planet.
Amen.
That's safe to say. I wrote down Kristen Wiig as a villain ? Because I was just like, I have no problem with it. It's just like, wow, it's not used to how I see her.
Right.
It's kind of just that like funny woman on SNL.
Well, and I like that casting too.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. I bet she's probably gonna be a good villain. I don't know, but and my last note was I need to watch the first Wonder Woman.
You should watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard it's good.
But so the big thing about this trailer was this was our first official look at Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. We had seen,
that makes sense.
Yeah, we had seen her in some like cheetah print jackets and kind of like wardrobe stuff, but never the full like furry that she becomes.
Like, I just kept thinking like, is this just the movie Cats?
I mean, you're not. It's not. So that's Wonder Woman's like biggest villain. Is
really?
Cheetah? Yeah. But I like this trailer a lot. I mean, it's definitely not my most anticipated movie. from this panel or from this event at all, but I think it looks really fun. It looks really colorful, and I'm really excited for it. I think there's nothing that I have like a problem with.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. A lot of it was just like me viewing it, and as a viewer, like it didn't blow me away, just because I feel like a lot of superhero movies are kind of the same, and superhero movie trailers are kind of the same. There are a few that I can think of that did a bit different.
Yep.
But for the most part, it's just like, all right, let's show the main villain and have some suspense, and then stuff like that. And then for the most part, they work. But I don't know. I liked it, and it definitely made me want to watch the first Wonder Woman.
That's good. So after that was the announcement from WB Montreal, who developed Batman Arkham Origins. And they'd been teasing this project for a while.
This is the video game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was just announced. We didn't really know anything about it, and that was Gotham Knights. So
yeah, so I want to know your thoughts about this, because I have not played any of the Batman games or, that kind of stuff. So I was wondering what you think.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting, right? This isn't in the Arkham continuity. So there were 4 mainline Arkham games, and this does not take place in that continuity, although it very well could, because what this trailer opens with and what the last game ends with are very, very similar events. And
oh, really?
Yeah, without getting into spoilers for Arkham Knight. But so what's interesting about this game is this is a Batman game with no Batman, which that really interests me, because I think Batman's the Bat family are some of the most interesting characters in his mythos that never really get their time in the sun. And I thought all the designs were pretty good, with the exception of maybe Red Hood, who looked a little bulky and goofy.
Yeah.
And I know you don't know anything about, like, the Bat. What are you doing?
Oh, I just turned on, I was, bumping up the audio on my, earbuds.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
But I know you don't know anything about the Bat family. But I think this game, the gameplay is what I was kind of, mixed on. Because it looked a little bit...
yeah, I have that. I wrote down gameplay looks meh, just because, I don't know, it just kind of seemed like whatever. I feel like I've seen that before. I don't know. Wasn't anything that looked too great. I mean, I'm excited to see if people like it, but it's not a game that I'm probably going to get. But, I mean, it's definitely a really cool premise. So, and the fact that there's no Batman is really cool, just because I feel like in the Batman universe, we've seen more recently a lot of other things that isn't actually Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw Joker. What else?
Even Birds of Prey is really just a Harley Quinn movie.
Birds of Prey. Yeah, there's so many other non-Batman things, which I think is really cool. And
I'm gonna bring that back later when we talk about the Suicide Squad game, because that has some kind of connections to this as well. But I don't know. The gameplay, it looks fine, and it looks like it might be fun, but it definitely obviously this isn't finished or anywhere near it. It's a pre-alpha build. But I think kind of with some time. Have you seen the Avengers game that's coming out in a couple weeks? Have you seen gameplay from that?
Yeah, I saw it, and it looks good, I guess.
I think the gameplay in this Gotham Knights game kind of looks like that game done better. Because it looks like a good way of blending that kind of 4 different play styles together, and it's only 2 player co-op, not 4 player, which I think is
nice voice crack.
which is gonna definitely streamline the process. So it didn't blow me away, but it was definitely a nice surprise that it wasn't just another Batman game.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that. They're branching out and trying new things. I think that's what we need to see a bit more.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Do you think there's gonna be more superhero video? I mean, there already are a decent amount of superhero video games.
Yeah,
but with the popularity of like superheroes and comic books and movies, it's kind of surprising that we're not seeing these big thing. Oh, and you're out.
That was completely my fault. I hung up on you by accident.
Oh, nice.
I literally hit the end button. This is gonna be one
back,
for the
everybody.
Books. Yeah, this is gonna be one for the books. But we'll tweak it. Anyway, what were you saying that we're gonna see?
Yeah, I'm just saying I feel like superheroes has like made it to mainstream so easily, and I feel like even though there are superhero video games, they're not like when you think about video games, you don't really think about the superhero video games that exist. You think of whatever else there is, but
right.
That's why I think it's cool to see more come out.
Yeah, definitely. But what I did like about this game a lot was kind of the final tease, which is that the main villain looks like it's going to be the Court of Owls.
Who's that?
So the Court of Owls is this. It's kind of this recent Batman villain. Back in Scott Snyder's run on Batman in 2011. And basically the concept behind them is that they're this really old kind of like culty organization that's been watching over Gotham, and they're like very ancient. And what's cool about them is that like obviously Batman knows everything about Gotham, but he did not know about the Court of Owls. And they brainwash people into becoming assassins for them.
Yeah.
Which has included one of the previous Robins at one point. And it was this very interesting story of kind of like Batman having to not only come to terms with the fact that he wasn't the Gotham's oldest protector, but it was also just this really interesting mystery and kind of like following the trail of breadcrumbs and kind of stuff like that. So I think they're a really exciting villain, and especially that we don't have to see the Joker again, or it's just like I like that these games aren't restricted to only using media from 70 years ago, because this is kind of a more recent thing in the comic books that now they have the chance to use, and I really like that.
Yeah, it's definitely cool that they're like I said, they're like branching out outside of the whole Batman thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I didn't think it was like that impressive when I saw it. I kind of just, it was one of those things that when I watched everything, when I thought about everything, it was like I just didn't really think about it all that much. But I still think it's cool,
Yeah, definitely.
And it's hard to also because like I'm not as big as a superhero fan.
Yeah.
So
so you would, like, you don't know, you don't care who the Court of Owls are. You don't care who Dick Grayson is. You don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care and I don't know. So it's kind of hard to like be interested by it. But I still like it.
Yeah. So I'm sending you 2 images, which I forgot to send you. But so the panel after Gotham Knights was the Flash movie panel.
Oh, cool.
Which is being directed by Andy Muschietti, who directed It and It Chapter 2.
Okay. So one of those is a hit, one of them is a big mess.
Yeah, so I mean, if he takes from one of those, it'll be a pretty fun time, I think. We didn't get any footage, obviously, because it hasn't started filming. Ezra Miller is still the Flash.
Who's Ezra Miller again?
Have you seen Perks of Being a Wallflower?
I have it on my list on Netflix, and all I remember is like the screen they show, like the thumbnail, I guess, of the movie, and it's just Paul Rudd, and I know that's not Ezra Miller.
That's not Ezra Miller. But he's in a lot of stuff. You can look him up after, but a lot of people are torn on him because of Justice League was really all we've seen him in. And he was written pretty poorly, but that kind of has to do with the whole Snyder Cut thing, which we'll get into a lot later. But we got some details about the plot of this movie. And the first of those was that this is going to be a time travel story.
Oh, cool.
So
like, how does that work? This might be a dumb question. It definitely is a dumb question because I know it's not going to be. Is it like he runs so fast that he runs back in time, or is it like he has a time machine?
So in
it is?
Yeah, and so in some continuities he can just run fast enough to travel back in time, and sometimes he needs this thing called the cosmic treadmill. So they'll probably do one of those, but it's going to be based on the Flashpoint storyline, which is probably the most famous comic book Flash storyline, which is that Barry goes back in time to save his mother from being murdered when he was a child, and him doing that kind of really fucks up the DC universe. So like after he does that, Batman, like Bruce Wayne was killed in the alley instead of his parents, and his father became Batman and his mother became the Joker.
Okay.
Superman didn't land in Kansas and was captured by the government, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war. So kind of, and it's like a really messed up world. And it's a very like personal story. He has to like sacrifice his mother again for the sake of returning things to like a bit of normalcy. But what's kind of different about the version that they're doing in this is that they're kind of opening up the multiverse. So in the panel, they said that this movie was going to be the gateway to opening up this DC universe to every other DC universe.
Oh, okay.
So,
one of my questions is why wasn't, I know Justice League was bad, but why didn't Justice League, open up the universe, and why is it the Flash movie?
I think just because I doubt this was the plan if Justice League had been successful. Mm-hmm. But since it was a flop, they probably kind of thought a lot of new things and shook up the leadership at DC. But what I do really like about this movie is that the director said it's going to have a very big heart, and this is ultimately, even though we're going to be getting a lot of stuff from the multiverse and it's going to be kind of a showcase of everything cool to ever come out of DC, it's still, at the end of the day, going to be about the Flash himself, which I think is really nice to hear, because I was kind of worried that he was going to take the back seat in his own movie. And there's been no Flash movie yet, so like general audiences need kind of something like that to connect to this character. It can't just be like flashy, no pun intended, substance without having a character at the middle of it. So I really like that.
So here's one of my questions. I like superhero movies, and like I'll see the big ones. But if you have people that like superhero movies but really only have seen them through like they watched Avengers, like Infinity War and Endgame, and they might have seen like Black Panther or some other big Marvel movies.
Right.
Why should they go and see Flash? Like, what about Flash is going to appeal to these people who only rarely go to see like the
casual fans?
Exactly.
Well, I think the Flash himself is going to be the biggest draw, because what's kind of interesting is like the Flash has never really had this big like movie or show or anything until pretty recently with the show on the CW. But he's kind of people have always known who he was and liked him for his powers and his like look and all that kind of stuff. And I think just the fact of it being the first Flash movie will definitely get a lot of people who maybe aren't super familiar with the Flash, but have heard the name and are like, oh, that's, a name I know. I
think everybody knows the Flash, but like, I'm just trying to think of, I can't think of many reasons why I would go to see the Flash movie unless there's something about it that like makes it different. And that's just like the mindset I'm putting myself in if I'm like a casual fan. Yeah. So I think it'll probably be pretty big just because, superhero movies will make the money.
Yeah.
But it's not like a Batman kind of movie. And
well,
everybody likes to see the Batman.
That's where you're wrong, Tommy.
Yeah.
So what's interesting, if you look, I just sent over the concept art to you. And if you take a look at the second one, that Batman in the background is not Ben Affleck and it's not Robert Pattinson. That's Michael Keaton, who's the original 1989 movie Batman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this movie, it's going to be bringing back that continuity, which we haven't seen in almost 30 years now. So I think people who saw the Michael Keaton movies growing up are going to be like, holy shit, he's back. Because he's officially coming back, Michael Keaton, to play Batman again. Which is super, super exciting for people who are big fans of those movies. I'm not the biggest fan of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
But I do think it's really cool that DC is willing to bring him back like that. And that's a really interesting, like, kind of what we were talking about in our Joker episode, which will come out like next week. But it's DC being willing to just let the creators do what they want, you know?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest pull for me, because I would say I'm probably a little bit more than a casual fan. And I think the biggest reason why I would see superhero movies, even though I'm not a huge fan, is the fact that I know the directors, and there's just going to be so much more creativity given to all of them, which is just a great thing for like any movie.
It is. It's really
like that's why I like Spider-Verse and like Guardians of the Galaxy, just because like you can tell that they're like behind it all. They're not really superhero movies; they're passion projects.
Right, they're not made by committee. They're made by people who are really passionate about the story that they're telling.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the kind of last bit of news was in that first piece of concept art I sent you, which is just that the Flash will be getting a new suit, and this is our first kind of look at it. And I know you don't even know what the old suit looks like. Or you do, because you watched the Snyder Cut trailer. But I personally think this one looks a lot better. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. I like that, and I think this movie, it's in an interesting spot. Because originally I thought this movie was going to kind of shake things up and officially kick out Ben Affleck as Batman and maybe bring in Robert Pattinson, but it looks more like it's going to be kind of just this massive story, and I don't know how its implications are going to be on the universe as a whole, but I like the fact that now the DC creators have this opportunity to set their property in its own universe, completely separate from everything, but at the same time, it's like this movie opens up the door to be like, well, you never know.
Yeah, I think it. Exactly. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So moving on. This was probably my second most anticipated panel, and that was James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. So when I watched it, I wrote down Suicide Squad. It will live and die by James Gunn, because that's all they fucking talked about in the trailer. They talked about James Gunn. I literally wrote down.
Well, I think that's because
who's directing this movie? Because it's like, yeah, like no shit. He's like, they act like he's like Jesus coming back, and it's like, oh my god, I get it. He's like a good director. You don't have to. If I'm just saying, if this is a bad movie, then like this is gonna be like one of the worst videos to look back on. Yeah, that video is gonna age so poorly. I mean, I hope it does well, and I bet it probably will. But it's just like, Jesus Christ, they're acting like he's the savior. I'm like, oh my god,
he is. So James Gunn he described this as like a 70s war movie, based more on the older Suicide Squad comics rather than the more modern stuff. But obviously, there's a good mix of modern stuff in here, hence why Harley Quinn's on the team. So besides them sucking James Gunn's dick a little bit. Not
even just a little bit. It was a lot. Like, yeah, it was a lot.
Besides that, though, what did you think of like the production design, the costumes, and that kind of thing?
Oh, it looked cool. Yeah, it just looked pretty cool. I mean,
wow, I'm glad I run a podcast with you.
Yeah, you chose a great person to.
You can only get this content at SSMP. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I don't know. I mean, I had to look at it again. I don't really remember it all that well. But no, I actually did like it. I thought there were a lot of like pretty colors in it, and like it just seemed like grand and cool. I don't know what you want me to say. I liked it.
Okay, good. But so what's really the big news about this was kind of we knew the cast, but we didn't know who they were playing.
Yeah.
So I wrote.
Wait. Idris Elba. He was there. Who's he playing?
I'm gonna get to that. I wrote down
cool.
I wrote down everyone and who they're playing. Obviously Harley Quinn, being played by Margot Robbie again.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Waller, who Viola Davis will be reprising her role as from the first movie. Amanda Waller is basically the government agent responsible for creating the Suicide Squad as a concept, and she like runs them and controls the bombs in their heads and stuff.
Cool.
Rick Flag, again, Joel Kinnaman is returning from the first movie. Rick Flag is kind of like the government's man on the ground to keep the Suicide Squad kind of in check. And then a lot of characters I don't know about, so don't ask me because they're very obscure.
Isn't there like a shark?
Yeah. So we got Savant, who's being played by Michael Rooker. I don't know anything about Savant as a character. But Michael Rooker plays Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Yep.
Javelin, being played by Flula Borg, who people are saying is the funniest part of Suicide Squad is his character. Polka Dot Man, played by David Dastmalchian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but he's from Ant-Man. I'm sure you saw him. He had the polka dots all over him.
Yeah. Yep.
Blackguard, being played by Pete Davidson.
Oh yeah, I did see Pete Davidson. He was a little out of place. I'm like, okay, I recognize these people. Wait, is that Pete Davidson? At first I'm like, no, it couldn't have been him. Then I saw him again. I'm like, yeah, Pete Davidson is just like in this movie.
And then you have Captain Boomerang, being played by Jai Courtney, who returns from the first movie. Mm-hmm. Captain Boomerang's a Flash villain who throws boomerangs. That's all you need to know.
That's pretty badass. I'd like to be my power. No, actually, I wouldn't. I want to fly.
Boomerangs? Aren't you Australian? Are you Australian?
No, I'm not Australian.
You're not? Oh, you went to Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so. TDK, played by Nathan Fillion, who I couldn't find any comic book counterpart to. So I'm thinking it might be another character who James Gunn kind of renamed for this movie.
Okay.
Because his symbol kind of looks like Arm Fall Off Boy. So I don't know. We'll see what that's about, but I couldn't find anything about him really. Then you have Ratcatcher 2, played by Daniela Melchior.
Wait, it's called the character is called Ratcatcher 2.
Yes, so Ratcatcher in the comic books is a man. So I think for this movie, since they kind of gender bent her, she's going to be the second one to take up the Ratcatcher name. Okay. Then you have Idris Elba's character, who is playing Bloodsport. And so apparently Idris Elba was originally cast to replace Will Smith as Deadshot, but James Gunn wanted to open the door for Will Smith to return in the future, so he kind of found Bloodsport from the comic books and made him that instead. Then you have the one you were talking about, King Shark.
Yeah, big shark guy.
He's being played by Steve Agee or Agee. Well, on set he's being played by...
Can we just call him Left Shark?
Yeah, you could call him Left Shark
bring him back
if you want. But we don't know who's voicing him yet. But we do know
a shark.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right.
Yeah.
But Taika Waititi it's not been announced what role he's playing, so I'm thinking he may be the voice of King Shark. Because if you watch the Harley Quinn TV show, he's kind of this very soft-spoken, nerdy shark.
Oh, really? That's funny. Because that's like the exact opposite I would expect.
Right, exactly. So, I'm quite excited to see what they do with that. And then Mongol, being played by Mei Ling. I'm not going to pronounce this right. Ing? It's NG, and I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm so sorry if I'm an idiot in pronouncing that really bad. But then you have the Thinker, played by Peter Capaldi, which I thought looked really, really interesting.
Okay, so one thing, this is a lot of characters. How are they going to fit them all in?
I will get to it, Tommy, I promise.
Okay.
Then you have Sol Soria, played by Alice Braga. Or Braga. And
Alice
Weasel.
Braga about it. Sorry.
Weasel.
That
Weasel! Played
Who's
by...
Weasel?
I don't know. But he was in the trailer. He's this very creepy humanoid weasel guy. That's being played by Sean Gunn, James' brother.
Okay.
And then Peacemaker, played by John Cena, who was described as being a douchey Captain America type who wants peace at any cost, no matter how many people he has to kill.
That's pretty funny.
That's definitely an interesting thing. And then Luna, played by Juan Diego Bato. I'm just going to say it every way so that I can't possibly misconstrue it. But I don't think he was in any of the trailers. Maybe he was and I missed him, but I don't know exactly who that is.
Wait, are there trailers out for Suicide Squad 2?
No, there was an announcement trailer that showed every character and who's playing them, and then there was that behind the scenes featurette thing. So you asked how they're going to balance all these characters, and I mean that's definitely a big question, but I think one thing that's definitely going to be different about this Squad movie over the last one is the last movie seemed pretty afraid to kill off any characters, whereas it seems like James Gunn really went through like the archives over at DC to find really, really obscure characters that he could play around with, and I'm going to assume that most of these are going to be killed, and that it's kind of
that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think it'll live up a lot more to the Suicide Squad name than the first movie.
I didn't see the first Suicide Squad, but I just remember everybody was like going crazy because they used Bohemian Rhapsody in the trailer, and I thought it was like cool. But
trailers
like,
were good.
Yeah, trailer was cool. But then it came out and everyone's like, "Yeah, it sucks." And I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'm not gonna watch it."
Yeah. So I think what's kind of fun about this movie is people have already started kind of like placing bets on who's going to survive the events of the movie.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of fun, especially if this becomes a franchise and you see like the new cast and it's like, oh, who's going to live, who's going to die.
That'd be real cool.
I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. I think it's pretty obvious about some of them. Like, I definitely don't think they will kill off Harley Quinn. But I think it's pretty safe to say that a character like Javelin will be killed off.
I hope they don't kill off Shark Guy.
They probably won't. I doubt they're going to kill off
him.
So I think this movie looks really fun, really exciting. James Gunn is personally my favorite director because of the Guardians movies, and I was kind of worried that this was just going to be DC's Guardians, but it looks
so they got the director.
Yeah, but it looks like something completely different and but equally fun and really exciting. And there's a rumor that it might have an R rating. So again, DC just letting their directors go hog wild.
Did the first Suicide Squad have an R rating?
Nope.
Okay. Is Joker like the only DC movie with an R rating?
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey is also. Okay.
Yeah. And I think there's also a rumor that Batman might get an R rating.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Hello, dog. That was my dog getting up and scratching her face. Yeah, so that's about it. But I think this is definitely my most anticipated movie period of next year. Maybe besides Batman. But I'm very, very excited to see how this... Did you just fart?
This is coming out... No, I didn't fart. I would have owned up to it. Might have moved weirdly.
It's okay. What were you saying?
Jesus. Wait, Suicide Squad is coming out next year?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Moving on. Snyder Cut. this was definitely some people's most anticipated panel at DC Fandome.
Yeah, so like, is it did he just edit the movie, or are they like redoing a bunch of shit with it?
So, a brief history on the Snyder Cut for those of you who are unaware. Back in
Way to subtweet me.
Sorry, Tommy. One of us has to carry this.
Yeah.
Back in 2016, after the release of Batman vs. Superman, filming on Justice League started almost immediately. But the DC executives were not happy with the reception to Batman vs. Superman. Unfortunately, a little bit after initial photography had wrapped on Justice League, Zack Snyder had a family tragedy. His daughter, unfortunately, committed suicide. So he was forced to step away from the movie for some private time. In that time, what DC told us was that Zack Snyder had handpicked Joss Whedon to take over the rest of production on Justice League. But apparently what had actually happened was that DC took the opportunity to hire Joss Whedon to recut the movie how they wanted. And the end product with Justice League was just a nightmare of two directors with two very different visions, kind of haphazardly slapped together, and it was just not good, and no one really liked it. So after that, a campaign started to release Zack Snyder's cut of the movie. And although a couple months ago it was announced that it would actually happen and it would be premiering on HBO Max. So after all that time, they had finally won. And the Snyder Cut is going to be released. So, oh my god.
So is Zack Snyder a good director? I'm looking at his filmography. It is a bit underwhelming.
So Zack Snyder kind of has this cult following, where I think a lot of mainstream critics don't like his filmmaking style, and I don't really either.
Yeah. Voice crack.
But he does have a lot of very, very diehard fans that absolutely love everything he does. So, I don't know. This movie, it isn't for me because I'm not a Snyder fan. I didn't really care to see Zack's Justice League because I don't think I'm gonna like it, really, because I don't like Batman vs. Superman and I don't like Man of Steel all that much. But, I mean, I really like that DC was willing to release this cut and not just ignore it forever, because they really did fuck him over. And it's going to be nice to really see his vision for what this movie was supposed to be. Because he said he's not going to use a single frame of the movie that was not filmed by him. So that's all very, very exciting. So in the actual panel, we kind of got some news on it. First of all, that Cyborg was going to be ultimately the heart of the movie.
Cyborg from Teen Titans?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Who he is in the original theatrical cut, but he's just not anything interesting. I mean, the performance is fine, but what he does in the movie is just not very good. He also said we'll get a lot more Flash, and there's going to be some sort of time manipulation in the movie, which we don't really know how that's going to be. And the big news was how this movie is going to be distributed, which is that it's going to be released in 4 one-hour parts on HBO Max. So it's going to be a total runtime of about 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hike.
It's a long movie. It's about, Infinity War and,
It's
most
longer.
of Endgame.
It's like the didn't Tarantino release like an episodic version
The Hateful
of
Eight?
Hateful Eight? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. So, for people who love Snyder, I'm sure this is great news, and they love that they're getting that much content. And I'm glad that it's all seeing the light of day, too. That's really cool. And I'll watch it, obviously, to see if it's any better than the theatrical cut. But, yeah, I'm glad that this is getting released, but maybe it's not for me. But I think that's okay. But you saw the teaser for the first time, and when the teaser that was released at Fandome, what did you think?
Oh, I forget.
Tommy, what is the point of me sending you all these videos?
I definitely saw it. I think no. Okay, I remember. I'm sorry.
You said you have notes. Do you just have notes on Batman?
Kind of.
Oh my
Notes on Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other thing. But no, I think my point behind it was that I hadn't seen Justice League, and I know it was, not really all that good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just didn't interest me that they're like, oh, we're gonna redo the movie, and because it's like, well, if it's still not good, then that's like a big waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think I'm excited to see the reception behind it, because I bet there's a ton of Zack Snyder fans that are gonna love it, regardless if it's good or bad. And I'm definitely gonna be interested in your opinion, because I feel like you don't, when it comes to superhero movies, you're very like cut and dry and like, it's good if it's good, and
yeah, I think this is a bit of a win-win situation though, because if the Snyder cut is terrible, it doesn't matter because DC is not really doing that whole cinematic universe thing anymore anyway. And if it's great, then DC just replaces the theatrical cut with the Snyder cut, and that's what happened in canon.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only people who win are the fans who wanted this.
Yeah, I think one thing I like about that I'm liking from DC is that it seems like they're listening to the fans a lot more. Oh wait, okay, I'm sorry, I remember it now. That was the Hallelujah video, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, my bad.
And some people hate that music choice. I don't really care.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. It didn't.
A bit obvious. I feel like.
Yeah, I felt like it just didn't like fit all that well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand what they were going for, and like I perfectly understand. Like, okay, that this is like the vibe they're trying to give the movie, but it just was like, I don't know. It seemed kind of off place. I felt like they could have put in any other song, and it probably would have fit like just as well.
Right. I definitely don't disagree.
But I like that they showed off like each hero, like doing a specific thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because part of it is I hadn't seen the original, so it's hard for me to give like a good take. Hi, Gus.
That's Nova.
Is that Gus? Oh, damn.
Oh shit! The viewers know my dog's name. Shit.
Joe Biden. No.
So yeah, and then we got a quick peek at Darkseid at the beginning of the trailer, which he's DC's Thanos, more or less.
He's the guy that looks scary.
Yeah,
right, with the giant hammer thing.
Yeah, and he looks fine. Everyone in Zack Snyder movies are big gray monsters, and he wasn't any different. So I'm not that, I don't know, not that big on it, but cool to see him. We got some quick fire ones here. We got some quick panels. We had the Black Adam panel with Dwayne Johnson. We saw some concept art from the movie, but I'm not really going to send it over because it's nothing crazy. Tommy, this is Shazam's arch nemesis.
Yeah, Shazam's villain. I'm excited to see that one because I like Shazam.
Yeah. And he kind of teased that maybe Black Adam will fight Superman in this movie. He was very vague about it. But yeah. And he said Black Adam will be very faithful to the source material. He said Black Adam is a bit of an anti-hero, so this movie is kind of going to explore both the good and the bad sides to him.
That's cool. I think there's a lot of anti-hero movies. Well, not a lot, but the ones that there are, they still, at the end of the day, portray the anti-hero as a hero.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more anti-hero movies that portray them as the villain.
Right. So I do. Yeah. No, I agree. I hope that this ends with Black Adam still remaining ultimately a villain. I mean, obviously he will if he's going to fight Shazam or Superman. The other thing is that Black Adam will be fighting the Justice Society of America. Not the Justice League, the Justice Society, who's kind of a group of older superheroes. So in that, we got Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher confirmed. Only one of those was cast, and that's Atom Smasher, who's being played by Noah Centineo. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
So he's in a lot of really shitty teen, like, rom-com movies on Netflix and stuff, like To All the Boys I Loved Before.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got really no big credits, but obviously DC saw something in him if they're going to cast him in this role, so I don't hate it. And I like the idea that Black Adam's kind of going to be fighting some superheroes in his own movie. I think that's fun and exciting, and ultimately this had me way more excited for Black Adam than I think I had any right to be initially.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see it, because if they have the humor in the same kind of style, is it going to be the same director as the guy who directed Shazam?
No.
No? Okay. Well, that's still all right.
Which I kind of like, because Shazam is, a really, like, a very kid superhero, kind of goofy, while Black Adam is very serious as a character, so I think that'll create an interesting kind of conflict.
Yeah, I'd like to see how they do it. Like, even if they have a completely different style, it'd still be cool to see.
Yeah. So, Aquaman. We got very little news, but what we did hear was that the villain from the first movie, who is Ocean Master, played by Patrick Wilson, he will be returning for the sequel. And that this movie is going to be a more serious Aquaman movie than the first one, because the first one is very, very goofy and very, very campy. So that's exciting. I really like that. And I do like that DC tends to keep their villains around for more than one movie. Even in Shazam, obviously, like, Dr. Sivana was not killed at the end.
Yeah, what happened to him again at the end of
He's in prison.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then there's some kind of teaser of something happening to him.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty much all the Aquaman news. So that's exciting, but not much to go off of.
Yeah.
Then we had the Shazam panel, which we got two pieces of news. One was that the Shazam sequel is going to have Sinbad in some kind of role.
Like the guy Sinbad?
Like Sinbad, yeah, like the guy.
Oh, that's funny.
We don't know who he's playing yet, but he's going to be somewhere in that movie. And it got a title.
It's Summoned Fury, right?
Yeah, Shazam Fury of the Gods, it's going to be called. Which I don't have a huge connection to, but I definitely don't hate, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's it's a fine title, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it, but like, titles mean very little to me usually.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of many titles. I mean, I'm sure there's a few that like really stand out. But
I like Winter Soldier. That's a cool one.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Infinity War is a good one.
Infinity War is cool.
I like Endgame.
I like that Endgame because it says we're in the Endgame now, and they call it Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so moving on, we had the Suicide Squad game. So what's interesting about this game is that it is actually set in the Arkham universe, unlike Gotham Knights. It's set after the events of Arkham Knight, and you'll be playing as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, so was there any gameplay in it, or was it just like one big cutscene?
It was one big cutscene.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a little disappointing because I can't really say I'm excited for it because I don't know what the game actually looks like.
Yeah, I thought that the entire time. I'm like, all right, when I'm like, this is a game. Games, you play a game. I want to actually see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks pretty. I like that they have some personality, but I mean, if they're not going to show off the game, then that's kind of for me, it's like a red flag.
Yeah, but I mean, it is still pretty early in development.
Yeah, no. If they just want a little teaser to like make the fans happy, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be like gameplay don't look good yet. So they're like, let's just not show it and avoid.
Yeah, I was just a bit upset because like it was such a long cutscene that it's really was. They should have showed off some kind of gameplay. If they just wanted to tease the fans, then it should have been much shorter.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little long for that. But I do like the premise of killing the Justice League. I think that's interesting. That was really cool. Like Superman comes over and he like, what does he do? He like fries something. Oh yeah, he kills the guard. They think he rescued him, but then he just kills them.
Yeah.
So I like that. I think that'll be fun. This is going to be a 1 to 4 player co-op game. But it is also open world. So I think that's kind of fun if it comes out well, because it looks like every character had some kind of way of traversing the environment. Harley had a grappling hook, and Deadshot had like a jetpack or something. So it looks like they'll all have kind of different ways of getting around.
Yep.
And it's an open world metropolis, not Gotham City, which is cool because we spent the last 3 games by this company in Gotham City. So it's nice to see a new location and in the daytime. And then you're going to be able to switch between the characters as you're going through the game. So you're never
the other Gotham City games, they were just at night?
Yeah, exactly. I think every game takes place in one night.
That's actually kind of, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to put that much work into making a city, like, you know.
Yeah, but it's Batman.
Just make him it makes sense at the end. But, you know.
It'd just be weird to have Batman running around in the daytime.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're definitely right. I don't know. It would probably drive me crazy if I played 3 games and I didn't get to see the light of day once.
Yeah. But I love the Arkham games a lot, and I trust Rocksteady as a developer, so I'm excited to see where this goes, but this trailer didn't do much for me, and as much as I love Tara Strong, her Harley voice seems like it might get on my nerves after a while. And with that, Tommy leaves me in the biggest silence ever.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I just wanted to stay silent, and then I'm like, well, who's going to break it first? I just wanted to see. But, is there anything more? Should we talk about?
No, let's talk about the big news.
I'm pregnant. That's the news.
So it's Batman. Yeah.
Played by Cedric Diggory.
Cedric Diggory, yeah. So I want to hear your just unaltered thoughts on this trailer, because I've been following this movie for a very, very long time, and I've been very excited.
I liked the trailer. I definitely like the vibe of it. It presents itself as like pretty dark and mysterious, and it reminded me a bit of the Dark Knight kind of vibe. I imagine that movie at the end of the day is going to be different, but just the trailer itself gave me like Dark Knight vibes. I
see that.
Because it's just a very like dark Batman. Like, I actually really like the scene where he beats the shit out of
Oh my god, that was so... Tommy, when I was watching that trailer, I was in my room, and I literally like giggled. Like, I was like, ooh, when that happened. I was literally like, my mom was like, what are you laughing at? And I was literally in my room cackling because it was so brutal and just so good. Okay, but go on.
Also, question. This is like, why is it the Batman? Like, I know that they say like the Batman. Like, I've heard people say that, but what was the point of having the title be the Batman?
Like, in the real world or in the movie world?
In the real world.
I think it's because Batman is already a title. Can't call it the Dark Knight. So I think they're just running out of Batman kind of titles to go with. And he's referred to as the Batman a lot in comic books and shows and all that kind of media. But yeah, and again, the title doesn't really do anything for me, but I like it just fine. Like the Batman and the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you know.
What I did really, really like about this trailer, I mean, the Riddler just looks like such a cool, interesting villain.
Wait, the Riddler was in it? I didn't recognize.
Who do you think was leaving the riddles?
I didn't know who the riddles were.
what Batman villain leaves riddles?
Oh, that makes sense.
And the question marks at the end. Were kind of,
yeah,
he is in the trailer.
He was the guy that put the tape over the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Because I was watching that and I'm like, I wonder who this guy is.
Yeah,
but that makes a lot more sense. Because whenever I think of the Riddler, I think of like the classic like green question mark suit.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll probably get kind of something more in line with that when the movie actually comes out, but I doubt they're going to put any of that in the trailer. Because it looks like there is a shot of the Riddler in this movie, but he's got a mask on. So it looks like he's trying to keep his identity secret for now, at least, and we'll probably discover it by the end.
And the riddles, those are... Wait, there's like a gang of bad guys, too, that he has, right?
I don't know if those were his. You're talking about the guys in makeup that Batman fucking beats the shit out of?
Yeah, literally.
I think those were Penguin guys because of the black and white.
Okay.
Because the Penguin is also in this movie. He is... You can see him in one shot. And it's Colin Farrell, and it does not look like Colin Farrell.
That'll be interesting, because I feel like, basically we only seen the Joker. And I feel like making the other characters, like the villains, and putting them on is going to be pretty cool.
Well, I was surprised, honestly, because I felt like Riddler was such an obvious fit for like Nolan's Batman trilogy that I was surprised that he never used him.
Yeah, you're actually definitely right. It doesn't make sense why he had Bane.
Right.
But Bane was cool. I like the scene. Do you remember where at the football field?
Oh yeah, that's a very cool scene.
Yeah. Nice. Michael's Bane impression, everybody.
I'll be here all week. So, yeah, also Catwoman. Did you notice her?
Yes. Yep. I did.
I nothing to say about her, but I like her. I like Zoe Kravitz, and I think she's a good fit. And I like how she's not in her cat suit, but the mask she's wearing kind of has little cat ears.
Yeah, I saw that. At first I didn't think it was her, and then I'm like, oh, that's cat ears.
Yeah. So let's talk. We gotta talk about the elephant in the room. Robert Pattinson as Batman, I think looks amazing. I think he looks great.
Yeah. If there's anything I learned, that the casting with Batman movies are weird, but they kind of work out. Like Christian Bale as Batman was, I imagine when people first heard about it, they're like, huh. But, I mean, he killed it. He really killed it.
Yeah, I mean, they do that with everyone. Heath Ledger, people were like, what the fuck? With, with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, too, they were like, oh, she's not going to be a Wonder Woman. So, I feel
like Robert Pattinson will kill it.
Yeah. What I've learned is just, if a director sees something in an actor, just wait for the final product, because obviously they saw something.
Yeah, I think it'll be more likely that if the movie's bad, it'll be because of like the directing than the acting.
Right, but
I think Robert Pattinson is talented enough where he can do it.
He is. I mean, he's very.
And in the trailer,
his recent stuff.
Yeah, and the trailer, like The Lighthouse, I haven't seen that yet, but everybody says it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
I did. Okay. That's really what sold me on him, because I really like him, and I really like what they're going for with Bruce Wayne, where he looks a little more like he's really been through the emotional ringer. He's got the long hair.
He's like pale. He's pale as shit.
And I like this take that he's kind of this more seedy, not fully formed Batman yet.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, he just looks younger.
Mm-hmm.
What was Christian Bale's? Do you know how old Christian Bale was when he was doing those movies?
Probably like 40s.
Yeah, I don't know how old Robert Pattinson is.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he looks really good, and I think he delivered. I mean, he only has 2 lines in the trailer, but both of them were delivered very well, I thought, especially the I'm Vengeance.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. And I think this trailer, I really love the moment where Gordon's like, does this mean anything to you? And he turns around and Batman is just there. I was like, that literally I was like, whew. I love that bat suit a lot. I think it looks really, really great. And it's supposed to look kind of like a prototype suit, which I like the look of a lot.
Yeah, it didn't look as sophisticated.
No, which I like because it's kind of, we're going to see him grow and get better at using that, or better at like perfecting the suit he's wearing. But in terms of other news from the panel, that this is going to be a Batman in his early days. Specifically, he's going to be in his second year as Batman.
Yeah, that's also the vibe I got. Like, it was Batman, but Batman wasn't like fully mature.
Right.
It seemed like he still had a lot to learn. You know?
And that's another thing Matt Reeves said, was that this Batman is going to be far from perfect, and kind of a lot of the frustration in this movie is going to be that his methods aren't working and he doesn't really know why. So I think that they're definitely going to explore like his, kind of growth into a more mature Batman maybe. And I think
the
Riddler
storyline.
Yeah. I mean, not really, because he's not evil, but
True, yeah.
But I think the Riddler is the perfect like first real supervillain to like test that. To test how effective Batman would be. And this isn't an origin story, but it's going to explore his past a lot, obviously, because he wouldn't be Batman if he wasn't emo about his parents.
So yeah, do you think they'll have the scene where his parents die?
I fucking hope not, because we literally saw it in 2019.
It's just
Joker.
It's just, why was it even there in Joker? It was kind of just like, oh yeah, and this is the part where his parents die.
I don't even know, because like they were so adamant that Joker was its own thing. And you know what's funny is like if people listen to this episode and the next episode in a row, they're gonna be like, man, you're making the same fucking points about Joker in both episodes. But like, I don't like that scene at all in Joker. And I really hope it doesn't show up here.
I think it'd be pretty funny if it was there. You know, it'd be actually really funny if they do like a tease where they're like about to show it and everybody thinks they're gonna do it again, but then they stop.
Oh, that'd be lit. I don't mind like a quick flashback kind of thing, but showing the whole scene, just don't do it to me again, please. So this movie isn't an origin for him, but it is going to be an origin for the villains. So what Matt Reeves kind of said is that each of these movies, assuming he gets a trilogy, is going to kind of explore like the villain's creation and kind of becoming the villain we know them as.
Yeah.
So you see that very obviously with Catwoman, because she is not like, obviously she's not wearing the suit, and she's not like, I would assume she's not as good at being a jewel thief as she's gonna be. Penguin too. Apparently he does not like being called the Penguin. So that's probably something. Well, I think it's like this thing of like people call him the Penguin, but he doesn't like it, and eventually he'll kind of adopt it. So I really like that too. That we're gonna see these villains kind of come into Gotham and wreak some havoc, and watch Batman learn to understand them.
So yeah, one of my things is, do you think? Well, I mean, it pretty much already set itself up to be another, like, it's Batman but dark. And I don't know, what do you think about that? Is this something that it's just like, yeah, it makes sense, like Batman has to be dark, or do you think this is just kind of the same kind of theme?
So I think when I usually complain about that, it feels a lot like every character wants to be Batman. But I think for Batman himself, I mean, he's got to be dark, he's I think he's the one character that really pulls off that dark and gritty nature to it. Like, come on, when he beats the shit out of that goon, that's so insane. And then he's kind of, you can tell he's kind of like really not fully formed, because even after he knocks the goon down, he goes back and starts hitting him again. So I think they're definitely going to explore that kind of like Batman pulling himself away from the edge a lot, which I really, really like. But what I am curious about is like, is this kind of going to be a universe where there are superpowers? Like, is there going to be like a Poison Ivy or, a Clayface or these kind of more
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, right. Like these more ridiculous characters, or are we going to just get people like Riddler or Two-Face who we could have in our world? Because I feel like that would be kind of disappointing, because the Nolan trilogy was all about that, and I don't really want to see that again. I would like to see a more fantastical Batman, that deals with Clayface and deals with his like super powered villains and has to overcome physical threats too.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing when I'm like gonna watch this movie is I want it to like feel distinctive from the Dark Knight trilogy, because as I said before, I just got big Dark Knight vibes with this trailer, and that's not like a bad thing. Like the movies are like obviously really good, but like if they're just gonna make a movie that is like the Dark Knight 4, then I don't know, I'd be a little bit upset.
Yeah,
just because I want to see some new stuff. Like I understand that it, making it a dark movie probably is the right way to go, but I don't know. It's so hard to conceptualize this. I would like something new for when like I get out. That's like the one thing I'm focusing on. Like I'm like, wow, I can't believe they did this, or the way they like had this in it.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like something new to be brought to the table, and I don't know what that is, but I imagine that DC will probably do something for that.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. But I do think this looks a lot different from the Nolan trilogies in a lot of ways that count. Because the Nolan trilogy ultimately was like these political movies with Batman, whereas this seems like a Batman movie more so than it is anything else, which is exciting, and I think it looks great. I think the design of the Batsuit and the Batmobile is just, I love it. I love the cast. I think choosing the Riddler as this villain and kind of doing this sadistic serial killer spin on him is just awesome, and I think it's really gonna.
I like that too. I would actually really like to. Probably my biggest thing. Well, I guess it's kind of like Dark Knight. I just want a really good villain, like, with Heath Ledger's Joker. Obviously, it's like amazing, but one of the things about it is that you don't really agree with the Joker. All you're doing is just like, all right, I just kind of he's just the bad guy. It'd be really cool if one of the villains was like, you could empathize with them. Because I feel like that's why I like Thanos a lot, because even though he's like, yeah, let's kill half the universe, and you're like, well, no, let's not do that. He comes from a place of like
reasoning,
because he went through a lot, and he just wants the best for everybody. But his methods about it are terrible.
Yeah, no, I definitely I agree 100%. And I think that should be the standard for every villain.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think having that standard instead of just having like, oh, he's the bad guy because he likes chaos and destruction and doesn't like the good guys. I feel like a lot of villains are there just for the final obstacle for the hero to like overcome.
The final fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like if villains just were able to have bigger personalities and present something new to certain movies, then that'd be really cool. So I mean, that's probably my biggest thing. I'd really like to see a cool villain.
Yeah,
because that's also like what the Batman series is all about. Like you think about, if someone asks you what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Batman, then it's also like, okay, well then there's like Joker and then like Penguin, all these guys, and I think the villain thing is going to be big. Yeah,
me too. I think he's definitely in a position to create some really interesting spins on some really interesting villains and all that. But also I'm curious about, does this universe have like room for Robin and kind of Batman's sidekicks, because we haven't really seen them done well in a movie yet.
When Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and then they're just like, oh yeah, your middle name's Robin. That's cool. And I remember when I was like 12 years old and I watched that, I'm like, what is the next movie gonna be Robin? But then it just like never happened. I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay.
But I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like, if this universe is a little more fantastic and a little more like willing to be a little bit goofy and not ultra realistic, then we might get like the Robins and you know, him being an acrobat and all that kind of fun stuff. And I really hope we get that, because Robin's one of my favorite superheroes, and there hasn't really been a successful attempt at him in live action at all. Even in the Titans TV show, it's bad. So like, I mean, ultimately, to kind of wrap up our thoughts here, like, this is probably one of my favorite trailers ever made, because
wow,
just the vibe I got from it, and you know, the red and the way it was edited and the way everything looked, and I thought it was presented really well, and it definitely, I think, is going to sell a lot of people on Robert Pattinson in this role.
No, honestly, I think I'm already sold.
I'm saying general people who are like, oh,
yeah,
Twilight.
that's true. Yeah, is there actually a lot of people who are like against Robert Pattinson because of Twilight?
Yeah, like Ben Affleck diehards who are like,
oh wow, that's weird.
Yeah, which is odd, because he's coming back too in the Snyder cut, and he's coming back in the Flash movie maybe. So like, you're getting him too. I don't see why you wouldn't also want to watch this. But ultimately, we're at an hour here, so I definitely don't think we have time to do Shazam. But to kind of wrap things up here, like, I think this was a really awesome event for fans of DC. Especially, like, so much news was dropped, and it was, for the most part, all really good stuff. You know, it's not like, you know, E3, when you sit through the entire Microsoft press conference and there's fucking nothing.
And then at the end, they're like, okay, here's our big thing.
Yeah, here's Halo.
Yeah.
Or like Activision or EA, and it's like, ugh. I just felt like this was definitely one of those situations done really well, and I'm excited for pretty much everything we talked about.
I feel like DC is just on the up and up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and that's not to say Marvel's bad now, but I definitely think audiences are in a position to kind of really attach to these newer DC movies, because they're also different from one another, and they're also different from other superhero movies.
I really like that DC is not just trying to make, you know, blockbuster superhero movies. They're making, you know, passion projects that turn out to be blockbusters, which is really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I really love this stuff. I'd say out of everything, I'm the most hyped for the Batman and Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for Batman. I'd just like to see how that goes.
But yeah, that's about it. Do you have any other little things to talk about?
No. I saw Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind the other day, and it was good.
Good. So you're recommending it?
Yeah, it's my favorite DC movie.
Jim Carrey was the Riddler.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Tenet is not getting very good reviews.
Oh yikes! And it's like only in theaters, right?
Yeah, but I've seen pretty mixed stuff so far, so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure you and I will both see it, but I'm not like the biggest Christopher Nolan guy, so I'm not like disappointed, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I always see his movies immediately get like universal praise, so this is odd.
Yeah, because they're just like, I don't know. I've watched Interstellar like 4 times, and it never clicked with me. Everybody loves it, and I don't know.
I like it. I like Interstellar.
Yeah. So yeah, is that pretty much wraps
That's
up
about
everything.
it. Yeah, no movie this week. So sorry, but next week, 2 movies actually, Joker and Spider-Verse. So enjoy that. And then Tommy, you and I will record soon. Goss. My dog is literally knocking on the doorknob. Jesus. All right, so he's literally like pounding on the door.
He's a good boy, though. I like him. He's got a fat ass too.
All right, that's all, folks.
All right, bye.
Bye.